Fresh off last week's jury verdict that Rudy Giuliani paid nearly $150 million in damages to the two former Georgia election workers he falsely accused of election fraud, Giuliani now faces a new complaint filed against him. Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss are now seeking an injunction, barring Giuliani from repeating his false claims against them, something they say he has continued to do even while the trial was underway last week. The complaint reads, Defendant Giuliani's statements, coupled with his refusal to agree to refrain from continuing to make such statements, make clear that he intends to persist in his campaign of targeted defamation and harassment. It must stop. Joining me now is Glenn Kirshner, former federal prosecutor, MSNBC legal analyst, and host of the Justice Matters podcast. Glenn, my friend, let me play some of the alleged defamation. Here is Rudy Giuliani repeating his claims about Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss during the trial last week.
When I testify, you'll get the whole story, and it will be definitively clear that what I said was true, and that whatever happened to them, which is, it's unfortunate if other people overreacted, but everything I said about them is true.
Do you regret what you did to Ruby?
Of course I don't regret it. I told the truth. I have no doubt that my comments were made and they were supportable and are supportable today. Still. I just did not have an opportunity to present the evidence that we offered.
If the injunction is granted and he did that again, what would happen?
You know, hopefully at some point, Joy, some court, some judge somewhere will actually hold these folks accountable for just thumbing their nose at the law, for continuing to endanger witnesses. And we should talk about the intersection of what's going on in that courtroom in Washington, D.C. in Rudy's defamation case as it dovetails with Rudy's pretrial release in the Georgia RICO case in which he is a charged defendant. But at some point, ultimately, a judge will have to hold Rudy in contempt. If an injunction is put in place and he continues to violate it, he should be held in contempt, and the penalties can include up to jailing him. You know, the litigants in this case, Shaye Moss and Ruby Freeman, who just won a, nearly $150 million judgment, shouldn't have to go back to the court seeking an injunction to say, please, judge, get him to stop lying, defaming, and endangering our lives, because Rudy is on specific notice right now, courtesy of that jury's judgment, that he was lying, he was defaming, and he was endangering these election workers.
Yeah, and intersection, you say? Here's Rudy on Saturday making an even more bizarre claim.
Even the discovery, I was being discovered for other cases because these people are working for the Bidens, not for the women. They were asking me questions that had to do with Trump's liability, other people's liability. Basically, they wanted me to rat. That's what's going on. They offered me settlements, and I told them to go to hell. This was a Rudy stalking action for Biden.
Glenn, at this point, is this man faking mental incompetency to try to wriggle out of this? And I ask that because this is a former U.S. attorney. This was not like a nobody lawyer. This was a top U.S. attorney in the United States who is now acting like he doesn't understand the law and lying and claiming that Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss's lawyers are working for Joe Biden. He was asked, Moss and Freeman's lawyers say they asked Giuliani to enter into an agreement to stop publishing these similar false claims about them. He refused to do it. This guy is not somebody who doesn't know the law. Is he faking mental incompetency, thinking it'll get him out of this judgment? In your view? I don't think he's feigning incompetence, and incompetence to stand trial is a very high bar. I've litigated those cases. But, here's the part where we're talking about the intersection. He is on release in the Georgia case. I have his release conditions right here. Enjoy. Number 5 is that the defendant, Giuliani, shall perform no act to intimidate any person known to him to be a co-defendant or witness in the case, or to otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. What is he doing? After that jury award in D.C., he's intimidating and endangering the lives of the witnesses in the Georgia case, Shaye Moss and Ruby Freeman. They will almost certainly testify in Georgia. When Harrison Floyd, another defendant down in Georgia, was alleged to have intimidated witnesses,
he found himself on the receiving end on a motion to revoke him on release and jail him pending trial. A hearing was held, and Judge McAfee found that he probably technically violated a condition of release, but Judge McAfee opted not to order him into pretrial detention. How about Rudy? It feels like Rudy should now be up, because it sure looks like he's violating the conditions of his release in the Georgia case by continuing to intimidate, lie about, defame, and endanger Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman.
I will note for our audience that Giuliani, it's an intentional tort, and therefore, just for the audience's knowledge, he can't get out of it using bankruptcy. Somebody asked OJ. Glenn Kirshner, thank you very much.